The main idea why we have to import something about fluid dynamics in Houdini that is so powerful to create fluid dynamics. Maybe just because LiquiGen is really fast, so you need to add some stuff to a scene that needs to be done in a really fast way. The speed iteration for LiquiGen using the GPU is really fast, so let's say it is possible, so let's think about it. So first of all, let's import the mesh. So let's go to create a geometry. This one is the liquid mesh. In it we go to create an alembic, and let's call it load LiquiGen cache. Here you see that we have frame per seconds, right mouse button, and let's delete this tunnel and say 60 frames. And then we go to load the mesh in the right folder, mesh, liquid mesh, space F, and we have the mesh. So let's say that we have 1000 frame, and then you see that everything is working fine. Here, if you like, you can play with this this mesh. For example, you can convert everything to VDB, and then you can manipulate how it looks. So there is stuff that can be done, but for the moment, let's say that we're going to split here and say that here we like to have a geometry splitter. You see that we have essentially just one point for the cache. Let's go to use a convert and connect, and let's say this one is named 2poly, and now we have all the vertices inside the mesh. We have no velocity attributes, and that's the problem I said about, because we didn't create it, you know. I tried to export without just to see what's going on. So in this case we have a problem because we have no velocity. So let's go to import the other stuff. So let's use a geometry, and this one is the let's say, for example, obviously the bubbles can be imported as you like, so let's say that this one is the sprite, alembic, load LiquiGen sprite. We do the same, so right mouse button, delete channel 60, and we go to import the spray, and you see that we have it. Really nice. Let's go to use the convert, and you see that now we have the point we have the ID of the particle, and we have the velocity over the 3 axes. Okay, let's say convert particles from ABC. Then we have to do the same for the others. So let's say Ctrl C, Ctrl V. We have the foam. Obviously we have to load the other, so let's call this one foam. We go to pick the foam, and we have also the foam. That's really nice. And then the last one, let's load the last one, and we call it bubbles. Load bubbles. Here we say that we are going to use the other cache. We are talking about bubbles. Okay, so we see the bubbles here. Let's say that we like to hide the others. So that's the bubbles. You see that we are talking about points, and we can render the stuff as points. By the way, if you like, obviously it will be a more complex stuff, but just to give you an idea, you can use the copy 2 points, use a sphere, sorry. We can go for the primitive, it's okay. Bubble mesh. Here you have to copy the points, connect the points, and here you have to connect the mesh. Now it takes time because we have a lot of points, so you have to take care about how it is working. There are many ways to randomize the bubbles, so maybe we can see in an upcoming tutorial how to do it. By the way, in this way you see that the bubbles are essentially mesh. Okay, let's go to the copy and let's say pack an instance, so it will be faster to be computed. Okay, that's the way. By the way, in the future we prepare something more precise to show how to randomize the scaling and stuff like that. Let's say that we have active just the points. Okay. So we have everything here. Let's say that we go to have, for example, a light. So let's say an environment light. And let's say this one is a DOM. And here we go to pick something, just something really simple. I don't want to create something complex, so let's see what we can use. For example, this one. Okay. Now let's go in the render view and say render. Let's see what's going on. We are using the basic renderer. So you see that here we have again the same problem we had in 3ds Max, so we have to take care about everything. So let's do something really simple. Let's go in the material palette. Let's create the principal material. We can use also basic liquid. We go to make some tests. So for the moment, for the liquid mesh, we go to pick the basic liquid. Okay. Then let's go in the basic liquid to see if there is something we have to do, but we can stay with the default value, it's not a problem. Maybe we can just tweak here to have water green color for the refraction, and say also that we like maybe to have just a little bit of lower refraction to see less stuff inside. Okay, then let's go back to the objects, and here we have the sprite. By the way, let's go in the out. We have mantra, and let's say just that we like to use the micropolygon physically based, so it's the most precise render. And then with the shift key select one area. Okay, back to the objects. Let's go for, let's say that the foam is not visible, the bubbles are not visible, and let's go in the sprite, and let's go in the geometry. We have the point scale, let's say 0.1, and you can do it because we have to convert. Now we have the points. If you have not the points after the convert, you can do this one, and then we can do the same for the foam. So let's say also to the foam that in the geometry we're going to use 0.1. And about the bubbles, for the moment it's not a problem, it is inside, so you have not to take care about it. Let's remove the sprite just for a moment. Maybe we can go a little bit lower with the foam. Let's try with 0.05. and then we have again the spray. Okay, what about the material? Let's select the foam. Let's go to pick the principle. Obviously you can work on the material, you can create something more complex. It is not a problem. Now I'm just going to work, you see, on the we don't need the point color because we have no information, so we are going to use just the base color, and that's all essentially. What about the motion blur, for example, because it is really useful to have it. So let's go in the out, and here we say that we like to have the motion blur. So the nice thing is that you see that we have the motion blur over the particles. It is going in the right way, okay? The problem is that we have no motion blur over the mesh, and we try to make it visible. So let's go here, and you see that we have no motion blur because the motion blur for this one is not active. By the way, let's go in the sampling of the liquid mesh, and you see that here we can say how we like to create motion blur. Let's say to use the velocity blur, but obviously we have no velocity data. So we can go inside the mesh and say trail, but we are going to create this one to create velocity. So connect this one and then set to activate. We can have also some errors because it takes time to be done. So let's say that we go in pause there, and then we say that the result for the create velocity is essentially compute velocity, and then we say to use the center difference. Let's try in this way because I don't want to have crash. Let's see if it works. Okay, we have the motion blur, but it is too much. We can select just one area and say that the velocity scale is 0.1. Maybe it is still too much, so let's go for 0.05. So as I said on part 2 for 3ds Max, I had a crash, so I'm already starting to record some stuff, so maybe something is loose, so maybe there is no connection, so don't worry about it because we are doing everything, but maybe you can find something strange in my recording, so sorry about it, but we go to try to have the best thing we can do. So I'm trying to reset some parameters. We have no we can go for physically based, it's not a problem, and we go to a lower resolution, and let's see, I think we have, so if sometimes you hear some baby voice, sorry, but I have my baby's here at the studio today, so sorry about it. So I think I worked also on the materials, so you will see how it is done. So I have some materials, so we're going to talk about it in a few. So let's go to the meshes, and let's say that this one is a network connection. So we have the LiquiGen stuff inside. With the C key we can change the color of this one, so just to have a better visualization. Let's go to create a camera and lock for the moment, so we go to move it. Let's say that this one is good enough. And about the rendering the camera, let's say to rise up the resolution. Okay, then this one can stay here, and I like to add also the sphere inside, so let's go to create a sphere. let's say inner sphere, the naming, and we can unlock, and let's see, the sphere is here, so let's say we like to ghost the stuff, so basic mesh, and then we go to have a transform node to move it. Let's call it fixed position, and we go to move it inside. And about the scaling, let's do just something like that. Let's go to have maybe 40 and 40 to have more polygons. Okay, so back here, this one can stay here. We don't need a group. Let's go to see the camera. So what about the material? I done something in the material, so if we go in the render, you will see what's going on. So I'd like to show you something I done. We can talk about it without the recording again. So let's select, for example, this area. Let's remove the spray and the foam, and let's work just on the liquid. So let's enable the lighting. This one is not visible, that's okay. And then what about maybe the energy? It's okay. We can go in this way, it's not a problem. So, or maybe we can go just a little bit lower. Okay, and then we can add another light. By the way, let's go to the material. We are using the basic liquid. This one. Okay. Let's go before in the object and inside the inner. Let's say that we go to use a color node. And we're going to use the white, so we are going to use essentially a white color. And back in the material, the basic liquid, let's see, without the reflection, just the diffuse. So let's go for more darker color here. Let's remove the subsurface. Okay, and then back to the reflection. Okay, let's get to see at 1, maybe 1.2, just a little bit more visible. And let's get to bling, and then we can go in the refraction again. So let's say that the refraction is set to active, and we go for something that can be maybe just a little bit more like a watercolor. Okay, and here let's say that we can have more or less refraction, so we can go for lower intensity. You see, that's not bad. Okay, we can also remove the subsurface. By the way, let's see what's going on. So in this way is with the scattering, and we can double check what's going on if we have it. It is not needed obviously for the water, so it's something I'm doing just to see how it looks, the material, if we go for something like that, you know. It is just a test, so we can go for something like that, or we can completely removing. So let's say that that's okay. It is not something so complex, but it can work. And then we can have the spray, and the spray has essentially a really simple material. It's essentially a white with a little bit of reflectivity, if you like, maybe something like that, so just a little bit to interact with the lighting. Again, we are not working on a tutorial about Houdini, the look depth, the rendering and stuff like that. We are just essentially doing a test, you know, just to see how the stuff can be imported and how you can play with it. There is a really nice artist that is preparing an HDA from Houdini to load everything inside and working with a really nice workflow to merge the stuff. If you are on the Discord channel of JangaFX, you can see it. So it is working to something like that, to have the data inside the Houdini and also to have the data inside Unreal. So by the way, that's a really simple way to manage the stuff and doing everything by hand. Let's go to have also the phone. Let's go to see. I think that the scaling, that's okay. Let's go in the output, in the material, and I like to have a little bit more quality on the reflection and the refraction, and we have a nice amount of reflection limit here, and we can leave the default for the other stuff. It's not a problem. So something more that can be done is maybe adding some light sources. So let's stop, and we can go to add an area light, and let's call it LGT key top, and we can go to see where we like to put this light, and we go to rotate it, let's say -90. So let's go in this way, and about the sides, let's go for something bigger, maybe more. Again, it is up to you to create something that is nicer for you. Let's go in the cam 1, render view, and render, and then we can tweak this one. This one is maybe can be white just to have more energy from the top. Let's go to add a little bit, maybe let's raise up a lot. Okay, it is working. Sorry, it was just to see if it is working or not. So just a little bit more lighting from the top. We can use the mouse to see just how the stuff are looking over the top. Okay, and we can do the same for the other, but again, it is up to you. So it is just a test. So C, Control V, and the second one has a different naming, and then we can select everything, make a new group here, change the color. Sorry, it was yellow. Change the color and call it light rig. Let's move it. Okay, and back in the camera and in the render view, we get to render and change the color just to have something different, you know. It is just something really simple. Okay, this one is white, and we get to have something more maybe a bluish color. Okay, and let's see what's going on if we have an higher value, maybe 7. Okay, I like to see if I can do something more, but you know, I'm not going to create something so complex, so let's say that this one is okay, but maybe less. I don't want to have it so much visible. Okay, and essentially we are right at the moment. We have everything, so it is not bad. I mean, the result we are achieving. Okay, so we can stop again. We can go back to the output. Maybe let's adjust one area like this one. It starts to render, and then we see the motion blur just to make some tweaks. Okay, just here. Okay. Let's activate, let's go to an higher sampling to have something with an higher quality and at the end. So let's go for 8.8. Again, you can optimize the rendering engine in a different way. That's just a test. So this is not a Houdini tutorial. I mean, let's go to the object, and just for a test purpose, I like to see in the geometry, if we go lower, what happens, to see if the quality is better. On one side, maybe yes, because you see the particles are smaller. So maybe that's not bad. But I mean, we have to understand when we have low amount of particles like there, what's going on. I think that's not bad, but maybe just to make something, you know, that is simple, we can just add a little bit of more emission, but that's just to make it more visible with a really fast way, you know. Let's see when we have more stuff like there. It seems working nicely. By the way, let's stop, let's go in the viewport, and I like to see when we have, I think, more. So let's remove for a moment the liquid so we can see maybe one frame with a nice looking particles. Oh, let's try with this one maybe. Then let's go back in the render, and we get to render everything. Let's see how it's looking in general, in a general way. Okay, and let's go to focus maybe on this area. Okay, back in the rendering engine, output, and I like to save as, let's call it the 02, and then we have the motion blur, so we have everything. Let's see how it is going. I think that's not bad. It is nice. I mean, that's really not bad. Let's stop just to let's remove for a moment the motion blur. I like just to see something about the mesh here, the general look of the mesh, but it's just a test, so nothing so important. I like to go back in the material, and I like to see something to take care about the look in a nice way. Let's go back high in the tinting of the reflection. Let's see if we can do something more. I think that's nice. Let's see if something can be done more on the refraction and also the reflection. Okay, in the refraction. No, I think we can stay in this way. So back in the object, we can set back visible everything and wait to see the result with a better quality. But again, I think we should have again the motion blur set to 1. So it is still rendering, but you see it is moving in a nice way. That's a really simple test. Obviously, you should play more on the shading side, the lighting side, and the scene setup, and also the rendering setup to have a better final result. But now you know how to merge the stuff and render it. So remember that here we are using also a lower resolution export, so it is not the same we use it to render the preview you saw past week on our social network and on YouTube. So it's a simpler version. By the way, you can create a new one export with all the quality as you need, and then you can render. So guys, thanks for watching. Now it is time to move forward, and we are going to prepare some more free videos to see how to merge the stuff inside Blender and Unreal. And again, remember that there is someone who is preparing something to make an automatic import workflow in Houdini, and exporting also the stuff in Unreal. So take care guys, and we'll talk more about LiquidGen really soon. Bye.